the stupidest thing the most intelligent person in your life believes? Story 1. My wife is the smartest person I know, but she is constantly worrying about what I call mom case scenarios. For example, she told me not to let our child walk down a street that was bordered by a wrought iron fence. Why? Because he might get impaled on the spear-like points on top of the fence. Story 2. I haven't spoken to them in years, but I played Dungeons and Dragons with a guy who was pretty close to graduating as a neurosurgeon. Listening to them rant about how masculine men only pee while standing was interesting. Story 3. I had a professor in the hard sciences that I did research with for years. One day, we were talking about something being installed in the building for 5G infrastructure, and I think I asked her a question about conspiracy theorists who were afraid of 5G. To my surprise, she told me that her husband, and 2 kids didn't have Wi-Fi at their house. BC. The jury was still out about the effect of Wi-Fi frequencies on people, and they didn't want to subject their kids to that. I thought it was a bit silly, but had no choice but to respect what I was hearing. BC. It was coming from someone I had so much respect for. Circa 2014. Story 4. I'm a Caucasian female and was in my early 20s at this time, a super intelligent woman. Caucasian, around 40s. I am very close to. Was absolutely stunned when I told her I had a huge crush on a black gentleman, and he asked me out. She was at a loss for words and finally told me if we got married, it would be illegal. I was speechless and so mad that I left because I thought she was joking. No, she was raised into fully believing, probably taught from a racist grandma. I suspect that it was illegal. Thank God she no longer believes that. What's even more stunning is that her father was friends with a bunch of black musicians growing up and still adores them. I've never been so stunned at misinformation from somebody who is so educated. Editing to add, since people keep fixating on it. No, we live in Michigan where the laws prohibiting interracial marriage was appealed in 1883, but perhaps wasn't widely recognized until the 1967 Supreme Court case. Regardless, this was probably around 2007 to 2010, so it was far from being illegal any longer. Story 5. My wife speaks 3 languages and has 2 master degrees. She believes basketball makes you taller and has no idea about survivor bias even when it's explained to her. Story 6. A wonderful kind person I know majored in physics at a big university and firmly believes the Earth is 4,000 years old, says it's a matter of faith and belief. He's so nice I've never bugged him about it. Story 7. Okay, so when I'm relaxing at home I'm usually wearing a hoodie and shorts. Comfortable, normal, right? My extremely brilliant and rational partner finds this combination so illogical that he can't not comment on it every time. He likes to point at me and say stuff like you forgot part of the outfit, or cold arms, hot knees, my love. My darling, it's literally normal. I don't know what your problem is. Story 8. My dad has a background in economics and an advanced degree. He believes that Kamala Harris having a 5-year economic plan was the definition of communism. Not that her plan was communistic, no, the very act of having a plan that lasted longer than 1 term in presidential office was communism. Edit. I feel like I should put some things out there. Yes, he voted for Trump. Yes, we fought because of it. Yes, our relationship is strained now. Yes, I am looking for every opportunity to troll him when he inevitably complains about Trump's policies, corruption, and general mismanagement by saying at least he's not a communist as dryly as possible, and then singing the hostile government takeover song. Story 9. My FIL has 5 college degrees and is a biologist. He mainly does an amazing job restoring nature. He did a lot of that in Yosemite. He has an absurd amount of knowledge about all kinds of things. He got all his degrees before the internet was a thing, so he knows how to do research wildly better than me. He is as stubborn as anti-vaxxer and has been for longer than I've known him. At first I thought he may have some actual scientific insight about it, so I asked him for info. Everything he sent me was blog posts with almost no sources to back up their claims. The few that did have sources, they either misrepresented what the source said or the source was just another thing that was clearly full of. He says what we need to do instead of vaccines is to get people to have healthier lifestyles. I agree that would be great, but it's not a replacement for vaccines. Story 10. My brother of all people believes that people that have a -B blood type has either alien blood or blood from the people of Atlantis mixed with their ancestors. If you have a blood type you're pure. I thought that he was joking with me when he was talking about that, but no, it was said in a very matter-of-fact kind of way. He is super smart, but has some out there beliefs. Story 11. My mother is highly intelligent and is a screaming evangelical. My husband is the smartest person I know, with a measured IQ of 187 and a PhD in mathematics. He honestly believes that he is stupid. Story 12. I don't know about most intelligent in my life, but mom was an RN and still works in the health department fields, and got convinced the COVID vaccine would kill you or make you sicker than just getting COVID, so there's that. Story 13. Not sure if this has already been said, but my ex-stepsister-in-law, a GP now in her 50s, fully believes that humanity only started 6,000 years ago as fully formed humans and that dinosaurs and carbon dating is wrong, since man was the first animal created when God created the earth. Obviously she's a very religious Christian, but she's also a well-respected GP in a blue state. Story 14. My wife, the PhD, doesn't understand that thunder and lightning are part of the same phenomena. Edit. OMG, I just own myself with a typo. They absolutely are part of the same phenomena. I hate you, autocorrect. Edit. My beautiful and wonderfully sneaky wife edited the original post. I have learned my lesson. Story 15. One of the most surprising things I've noticed is that even highly intelligent people can believe in their own infallibility, thinking that being smart automatically makes them right all the time. It's kind of ironic because true wisdom often involves recognizing your own blind spots and biases. Story 16 from up, down, sideways, and every turn. I've met otherwise highly intelligent people who will absolutely swear to any number of conspiracy theories that accuse officials or politicians of deception. In descending order of frequency, the moon landings never happened. Oswald did not kill Kennedy. Human activity has no effect on the climate. 911 was an act of the American government. Vaccines cause autism. I'm not speaking of cracked up and unhinged people. These are intelligent, functional and productive individuals with rational minds. They believe this stuff with every fiber. Help. Story 17. So, it's not stupid that my friend is Christian. But, what's stupid is that he believes his particular version of Christianity and his interpretation of the Bible is the only real version of Christianity, and anyone who interprets it differently only does so for their personal gain and is going to. Likewise, anyone believing in any other religion is also going to. This guy is now a practicing lawyer. I'm a Buddhist, and we had three-way philosophical debates every night for about 8 months with my atheist friend. Eventually, we came to an impasse when I realized that I believed multiple types of spirituality could be valid, and he believed only his could be. At some point, it transformed from a philosophical discussion into him just trying to convert us to Christianity. In my mind I'm like, how are you going to hold a particular set of spiritual beliefs only justified within itself, and then simultaneously say that all other systems of belief are false and anyone who doesn't hold your beliefs are wrong? I get that a lot of people are this way, but it just blows my mind to hear it from a guy I once considered the most logical person I know. Story 18. Neuroscientist, awarded by ONU and CE, invented something that most of us cannot understand what is even if explained. Do not VX his children because she don't believe in vaccines. Extra point, her mother died from a COVID infection, still believing that quarantine was useless because people die from flu every year. Story 19. I work at an engineering firm. Everyone I work with are intelligent professionals, people from all over the world with various degrees, and years of experience in creative problem solving. These people are smart, and yet, so many are convinced by MAGA bullshit. Global warming is fake, but also caused by increased sun activity or increased nuclear reactions in the Earth's core. Any new unpopular policy that our gigantic billion-dollar company institutes is somehow the fault of radical leftists. Women's rights are under siege because of trans women in sports, fluoride in water poisons you. COVID was fake. Vaccines are worse than COVID, and of course they treat Elon Musk like some kind of demigod, while treating the words electric car as if it is its own punchline. It's really depressing. Story 20. My mom is a very intelligent professional accountant, who still believes that trickle-down economics is actually good for everybody. She only recently stopped believing that Bush didn't intentionally crash the economy. Story 21. Astrology. WTF. My adoptive father holds a master's degree in engineering and owns several patents in the motion control industry, yet truly believes COVID was just a hoax. Even me almost dying from it wasn't enough to convince him that it was real. He said doctors were just keeping up the ruse and I probably just had the flu. Story 22. My boyfriend believes contrails are chemtrails despite me showing him tons of scientific proof that it's just jet fuel exhaust in the troposphere, and says that he knows it's chemicals because he was sprayed with them when his family lived near a now-defunct Air Force base in Washington state. Even had his dad tell me they tasted the chemicals being released into the air as the planes would take off. Story 23. God, but not like in a there might be an omnipotent being in some capacity way, but in a well if I didn't believe there was a God what is stopping me from going around and doing terrible things to people way. I just stared at him confused for a while. Couldn't believe he was serious. Story 24. Was arguing with a friend of mine in college, someone I thought was one of the brightest people I'd ever met. He gave me an example to back up his argument, and I realized he was in error and told him that's just not true. He said, yes, it is, I saw it on TV. Respect level dropped significantly at that point. Story 25. My dad was a highly regarded rocket scientist with the Air Force and, as a born-again evangelical Christian, believes the Bible is 100% true and that God personally sent Trump as the savior of the United States. Story 26. One of the smartest people I know, engineer, business owner, multimillionaire, critical thinker, science lover, endlessly curious, passionate about logic, reason, the works, boxes that all up and compartmentalizes it so he can believe in Mormonism. Story 27. My relative, with multiple bachelor's and master's degrees in various tech and engineering fields, believes that the government is always spying on us, and that the COVID vaccine had tracking chips in it. Story 28. Absolutely brilliant friend firmly believes that the average adult man could beat any given adult whitetail buck in an unarmed fight. You could just grab it by the antlers and go dead weight. Their legs are so skinny that would take it down and then you could just choke it out, he insists. Story 29. My mom is high up in her profession and has multiple degrees. She says tilapia aren't fish because they don't have bones, refuses to say what animal they could be instead. Story 30. As exemplified in many posts above, religious upbringing is known to stunt otherwise intelligent people. I think it is easy to understand why. Religion faith is supposed to fill in the gap between practical evidence and things you instinctively believe. In this sense, faith is probably nice. When the order is reversed, like you must believe XYZ to prove that you are faithful, religion takes a very negative turn. Story 31. That Olympic equestrian riders aren't any more skilled than weekend rodeo riders. He says it's all about the horse and that he could probably make the Olympic equestrian team if he had their horses. Story 32. What's up with every single comment conflating access to education and academic accomplishments with intelligence? Of course the PhD programmer is min-max too and doesn't know anything about anything else, but maintains the same ego and confidence. It's like y'all have never interacted with these types of people. It's like Neil deGrasse Tyson, expert in his field. Complete moron outside of it, but hell never stop saying bullshit with supreme confidence. Story 33. I have a friend who is an engineer. He legitimately believes, and will not be convinced otherwise, that the Earth is 5,000 years old and began when God said let there be light. Story 34. Very good friend of mine believes ivermectin cures COVID. The Comet Pizza place is a child ring, and we are going to be in a post-scarcity world in the next few years due to the rise of AI. He also used to believe metaverse was going to be the next big thing, to the point that he bought property in it. New York legalized post-birth abortions. Wayfair was selling kids. It sounds like this guy is a nut, or maybe one of those mega idiots, but it's not the case. He's just easily influenced. What makes him smart is you can change his mind with solid evidence. Story 35. That he can't improve. This dude could run conglomerates. He's got the management skills and the recall to hold people accountable, not to mention a great work ethic and a general curiosity to keep him grounded. Unfortunately, he's decided he's stuck. It breaks my heart. Story 36. My aunt has a doctorate in psychology, studied biology, owns a psychological books publishing company, used to work as a psychologist. She tells me wind turbines are powered externally just to keep turning, because they don't generate any power themselves. Story 37. I know a woman who works for the Forest Service and does land surveys. She will document very old trees and plants that are protected and should prevent land development. She is a new Earth creationist. Imagine documenting plants that are 12,000 years old and still believing the Earth is only 6,000, 10,000 years old. Story 38. Several rich business families in Asia believe in spiritual leaders and superstition. Things like astrology are part of our culture, and it's true that we rely on it to extent the West questions. But I'm talking about things like if you want this project to be successful, you need to not eat onion, garlic or meat for 3 weeks. And the donations made to absolute quacks are just mind-blowing. Story 39. I'd like to say all sauces are condiments, but not all condiments are sauces. I'd also like to say relish is too chunky to be a sauce, but I am 100% open to this discussion. I am here for it. Story 40. I have zero patience for stupid people, and if they reveal themselves, I actually just find a quick way to exit. Nonetheless, I know people who believe in supply-side economics. Story 41. That minority communities in the U.S. will be happy if the government gives them resources without any admission of the historical traumas inflicted upon them then and now. Story 42. That he can only have boys because only his left testicle functions properly. I suppose it could be the right, I can't remember which one, I just know he thinks it's because one testicle produces boys and the other girls. Story 43. A buddy of mine who's about to finish his PhD in mathematics refused to wear a helmet snowboarding until very recently because he thought it wouldn't make a relevant enough difference. Story 44. Just want to say, the vast majority of Christians do not believe the Earth is 6,000 years old. Don't let these posts convince you that we're all the same. Story 45. Got a lift from a friend because it was raining and I didn't want to ride my motorbike. Noticed the windscreen kept fogging up and my friend would wipe it clear with a rag every few minutes. I asked why she doesn't use the demister. She said because it only blows hot air. I told her to keep it running. ITLL warmed the window and stopped condensation forming. That's how it worked. She tried it. Window was crystal clear in a few minutes. I asked her how long she's been wiping the window. She said every time it rained. I asked how long she had the car. She said 3 years. We were driving to uni. She was third-year geophysicist. Story 46. My old landlord was a massive inspiration and idol to me. But one day, I bought booze that was Apollo 11 themed. His response was, the first moon landing was fake. My response was, okay boomer, he's still a lovely soul. Story 47. My highly educated, wealthy, socially conscious, kind parents are both devout Mormons. They believe that my dad is actually a wizard who can heal the sick with a special ritual he performs every once in a while. The older I get, the more wild this is to me. Story 48. Multiple degrees including a medical license. An absolute intellectual unit of a human being. People straight up call them to ask for life and business mentorship and advice. Has taught business and medicine and saved thousands of lives without being hyperbolic. Believe social media is in no way able to augment their opinion or that echo chambers on social media exist. Is currently convinced we're 6 months away from living in A Handmaid's Tale, SMH. Story 49. That vaccinated people shedding coronavirus is what put all those people in hospitals during the pandemic, which made it impossible to find a bed for her mother for a non-coronavirus related need. Story 50. In Cool Hand Luke, when Paul Newman is getting his kicked, the man punching him says, stay down. Newman gets back up, gets knocked down. Stay down. Newman gets back up, gets knocked down. Prisoners walk away in disgust. Stay down. Newman gets back up. Newman gets hit again. Stay down. Newman gets back up. The prisoner hiding Newman walks away in disgust. Newman is swinging at nobody. PhD in chemistry thinks Newman lost the fight. Story 51. To not be an organ donor, because paramedics won't try to revive you so they can harvest your organs. Hospitals are just letting people die for organs. It's a totally personal choice to be a donor, but the conspiracies are a little wild. Story 52. My wife is a very smart woman. I love her dearly. She does not understand many things related to whales. She reluctantly accepts that they are mammals because they breathe air and don't lay eggs, but that took some effort. She refuses to believe that dolphins are a type of whale. When I explained that they are more closely related to hippos than they are sharks, I think her brain exploded. I think the issue is that she doesn't appreciate the concept of convergent evolution, and how two things can be superficially similar but actually not related at all, and vice versa. She didn't like that Wiglet Pokemon either and asked why Diglett now looks like a penis. Story 53. That Jesus was born to a virgin, died for our sins, he rose 3 days later and God loves us, you know, all that stuff, seemingly intelligent people in every other aspect of life. It boggles my mind. Story 54. My boyfriend is a genius. The stupidest thing he believes is that he doesn't deserve to succeed. He's constantly tripping himself up on purpose because he feels like it's cheating whenever he's good at something. But when he's bad, it's because he's a failure and doesn't deserve to try. Doofus, I love him so much. Story 55. I honestly cannot deal with stupid people. But what's worse is the educated and accomplished individuals that are die-hard maggots. It's absolutely mind-boggling. Had some redemption this week when 2 of them talked to me furious about what that idiot is doing in DC, SMH. Story 56. In God, I have highly intelligent family members with PhDs that know a lot about specific aspects of reality. But when it comes to religion, all logic and science they know that would refute it go out the window. They close their eyes and bow their heads and utter cult nonsense before meals. Blows my mind honestly. Story 57. My dad is hands down the smartest person I know. I really respect him on so many levels despite all his flaws. He's a strong African man, but he is also a Trump-Israel supporter, and it drives me nuts. I can't for the life of me understand W. Story 58. My uncle went to a very prestigious college and got his degree in biology. He then went on to get his PhD studying something involving nature, like biospherospheres and whatnot. He can talk about things like Schrödinger's cat for hours and hours. Wall is his favorite Pixar movie. He does not believe humans caused climate change. Story 59. My grandma used to refer to my grandpa as the dumbest smart man she knew. He was incredibly insightful mechanically, well-read and extremely witty. He legitimately believed that wind only blew from the east because Earth only rotates in one direction. Story 60. My parents just told me they felt Osama bin Laden's death should have been verified and that it was weird how he was instantly thrown into the ocean afterwards. Story 61. My friend legitimately believes Malaysian Flight 370 was teleported out of the sky by future tech, and that's why it was never found. It's a thing, it's wild. Story 62. I know a PhD chemist. Excelling scientist, really thoughtful, inventive, deeply considers a problem and always has solutions. Also can program in multiple languages, which has been saving grace in different projects. Smokes a pack a day. When you ask him if he's worried about cancer, says not a problem. He sleeps next crystals, forgot which type. Second place goes to woman who was on my floor freshman year of undergrad. She was an evolutionary biology major, ended up graduating magma laude, also, strict creationist. Story 63. Some of these replies make me question if maybe we should listen to the smart people. If you step back for a second, this is a thread of dumb people calling smart people dumb. Maybe just maybe a few of them are right. Story 64. My mother thinks Elon Musk is secretly a genius and has comedically doubled down and now calls herself a musket for shits and giggles. I should preference by saying she doesn't support him, nor do I know if she genuinely believes Musk is a genius or is just messing with me, but whenever we talk about the cluster of America and good old Muskie gets brought up, I take like 5 points of psychic damage whenever she calls herself a musket. Story 65. Shocking number of doctors I've spoken to are clinging to ignorance on medical topics, even while the medical literature has been updated for years. For example, many did not get the memo that ferritin under 30 is an absolute iron deficiency. They still think extremely low ferritin is fine if the person has not yet clicked into what they think of as anemia, which is the last stage of iron deficiency. Some won't even test for ferritin. You can show them the medical journals and directives and they stubbornly cling to obsolete definitions from school. It is disgraceful. Story 66. People's height is determined by genetics, meaning everyone is the average of their father's height and mother's height, successful businessman and great leader, but the dude was literally taller than both his parents. Story 67. Luckily, no one in my life believes in any completely mad ideas. My example is not as crazy as some others, but it's still about a very stupid belief from a supposedly intelligent person. I had one very prestigious English lit professor at university who was seriously close-minded about anything writing that wasn't classic. Realistic drama, fantasy, horror and sci-fi are just for kids according to him. Even now, I still hear from younger people, like my sister who goes to the same university, that he's stuck on this idea that fantasy's just about having fun and building lore, like authors in those genres have nothing real to say with their work, and this guy teaches English literature, clearly never heard of Philip Pullman, C.S. Lewis, Asimov, Tolkien, Ursula Le Guin, George R. R. Martin, Frank Herbert Orwell, classic case of being educated without actually being smart. Story 68. That Trump is actually making America great again when he is actually ruining it. The dude has a PhD in organic chemistry. I don't even know how anyone that intelligent can be so stupid and brain dead. Story 69, I know this woman currently doing her PhD in climate change and is an environmental scientist, and she believes history conspiracy theories such as giants and whatever the Graham Hancock makes you want to believe in his ancient apocalypse docuseries. Story 70, communion in Catholic Church. I argue with people who insist communion is in fact body of Christ. It's symbolic to me. It was a wafer, I see it, tasted it, and if it was in fact body of Christ, it's cannibalism. Story 71, honestly that God gave them what they have and the ability to do it. I've been lucky to meet some amazing people, but some of them don't give themselves a single bit of credit. Kinda pissed me off. Story 72, my mother is so incredible. She's one of the smartest, most clever people I know. She believes that vaccines cause autism. Also, she truly thinks they're putting litter boxes in classrooms. Mother, use your brain. You don't have the excuse of stupidity. Story 73, the otherwise most intelligent person in my life believes that boycotting companies that openly use AI is wrong and we should just roll over and let it happen instead of fighting back. Story 74, I don't believe in recycling and think the EPA should be dissolved, all because they believe God has predetermined when Earth will end, so it's pointless to try to save anything or make the planet last longer. Story 75, the most intelligent person I know, PhD, reads quantum physics for fun, genuinely believes putting your phone in rice fixes water damage. He once submerged a soaked iPhone in jasmine rice, not basmati, because aromatic grains work faster. He also thinks cold pizza is better than hot, that cats understand sarcasm, and refuses to use bookmarks because books have memory. He can explain string theory but still argues pineapple belongs on every pizza for balance. Sometimes I wonder if his genius is cosmic punishment for common sense. Smartest guy in the room until you bring up kitchen hacks or toppings. Then it's chaos. Story 76, that a 100 carnivore diet is healthy. Yes, I know I will trigger some people with that, but the fact is it overloads your kidneys and long-term that can impact your health significantly. Story 77, two of the senior engineers at my work are convinced that the US blew up the Twin Towers and think the rest of us are ignorant for not agreeing with them. Story 78, I thought my sisters-in-law were pretty smart. One is an RN. They both thought COVID was a farce and the RN is actively trying to talk her kids into not vaccinating her grandchildren, for anything, like polio, etc. Story 79, I know someone with such a deep understanding of social structures, ranging from why exactly two people get along or don't to how a large group will behave and why and how to influence that. Still, he's doing drugs on a daily basis and doesn't seem to regard that as a problem. Story 80, that is a good source of impartial, unbiased news. My dad believes that there's a galactic federation governing the universe and there are evil aliens sowing chaos on Earth, which also segues into the Illuminati pulling strings around the world. Oh, and don't forget the Jews control everything. Story 81, probably not the most intelligent, but very bright in any case. He believes that the moon landings veer hoaxed on the basis that computers were too primitive back then.